Okie dokie. Good afternoon and welcome to Tea with Brittany Lee. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is a really exciting one for me. So Jeremy and I had actually been scheduled way back in September, and I had some personal things come up that month. I know some of you probably noticed that our September Tea with Brittany Lee got missed that month. I had some family stuff come up, so I wasn't able to actually do the webinar in September, and so we've been trying to reschedule this thing and get it on the books. And so here it is. We are finally here. I'm so excited that Jeremy is joining me today, and he's actually going to talk about why improved property operations are the next big thing in vacation rental management. And so I just want to encourage you guys, like, go ahead and perk your ears up, get ready. He's got some really good advice for us today. Corin's talk at our VRM show in Wilmington this year was really awesome. And so Jeremy is sharing something completely different than she was, but it's complementary. Some of it does overlap, but this is a brand new talk. So I hope you guys are excited and ready to hear everything that Jeremy's going to talk about today with Breezeway. So welcome to the show, Jeremy. Thank you so much for being on. We're really excited to have you here on Tea with Brittany Lee.
Thanks so much, Brittany. I'm happy to be here, and it was a long time setting this up, but I'm glad we're here, and thanks everybody for joining us today. I was telling Brittany I don't have a cup of tea with me, but I've got some cold brew coffee, and we're ready to go. So
which I did let him know that it's okay. We still like coffee lovers too. It's all right. You're allowed to be a coffee lover on Tea with Brittany Lee.
Awesome. And so we're going to go through, we're just going to kick it off right here. And so let me get to the topic at hand. Today we want to talk about the next big thing in vacation rentals with you. And from my perspective in the industry, I've been in the vacation rental industry for over 14 years. And we've seen a lot of changes, as I know you have with your business, on the vendor side, and sort of the opportunities where we can help create value for vacation rental managers. And as I look at the world, I think the next wave of innovation and opportunity for property managers comes on the property care side of the business. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that today. It's a high-level educational presentation. This is meant to get you thinking about your business, perhaps thinking about it in a different way than you historically do, sort of get you out of the rut that I think is too easy for everyone, myself included, to get really stuck in your day-to-day world and the challenges that are right in front of you, the things, especially in-market property managers, the things that you have to do today. And it can be very hard to think about your business for the future. And so this is part of it, to take a break here, have a nice, good, interactive conversation. Hopefully you'll have lots of questions at the end, and just think about your business in a new light. So quick introduction about me. My name is Jeremy Gall. I'm the founder of Breezeway. It's a new company, which I'll tell you about towards the end of the presentation. But in a nutshell, we've built a really nice software platform for helping property managers make better sense of their back office operations and really supercharge their property care. A lot of the things that we're talking about today, a lot of these market trends and what I think is the future is the reason why we built this company, because I think there's a lot we can do to help property managers. So we work, we're an integrated partner with VRM. We were an integrated partner back when I started Flipkey in 2006. I've known Pete Wank for quite a long time, and think the world of them and the software platform that VRM provides. Since starting Flipkey, I've grown a party of 5 of my own, got married, and had a few kids. They're all very young. They keep me, I guess they're supposed to keep you young, but it doesn't feel that way. But they keep me out of trouble, I suppose. And I split my time between Boston and Pawleys Island, South Carolina, where my wife is from South Carolina. And so think this slide speaks for itself, but I love this industry. It's really dynamic and it's constantly changing and it's full of challenges, which makes it really, really exciting. I started Flipkey back in 2006 because we thought that there was an opportunity, and we were proven correctly, that property managers could build a better brand presence for themselves online, and they could use guest reviews to differentiate their products, help differentiate their product from rent by owners, and show their brand. The landscape has shifted a little bit on that brand since I left Flipkey in 2012, but the premise remains, the same. And as sort of the first thought exercise here, I love this quote from Jeff Bezos of Amazon. I'll just read it to you, which is, I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And here's the really interesting part. And he submits that that's actually the more important of the two questions, as opposed to what is going to change in the next 10 years. Because you can build a business strategy around the things that are stable in time. And so this is the backdrop for this entire presentation, which is what's stable in time in vacation rental property management is that guests will be coming to your properties, they will be coming to have a great vacation, and those properties need to be ready, they need to be matching your brand standards, they need to be clean, they need to be well maintained, and someone is going to have to provide that valuable service in addition to the marketing and everything else that has to happen. No matter what happens, no matter the changes that happen with online travel agents, no matter what happens with tech-enabled property managers aggregating other property managers around the nation and trying to build a national brand, no matter what, at the end of the day, someone is going to have to make sure that those properties are ready. That industrious piece of property management is not going to change. And the people that continue to do that well are going to meet with high levels of success. So that's the conversation for today. I want to talk to you about the shifting market landscape in vacation rentals from my perspective, from what I've seen in the industry, talking to dozens of property managers over the last 2 years, and folks that have been interacting with our product, why the next big thing is property care, and then how to capitalize on those changes, how to think about your business for the future to capitalize on that shifting market landscape. And then we'll end speaking a little bit about Breezeway and what we do, and I'm happy to provide more information about that towards the end of the presentation. So chapter 1, the shifting market landscape. It's hard to be a great property manager. And I know for everybody that's on this, that's watching here and joining us, you're well aware of this reality. But it's hard because I think when you look at it operationally, it's not just all of the things that you have to do. It's that you're oftentimes at an unfair advantage as opposed to other operators in the hospitality industry, where all of your inventory is unique. Each home is configured differently. They're separated sometimes by miles and miles, and you're supposed to get them all up to the same brand standard and ensure the same quality experience for a guest. Compared to a hotel, you're at a significant disadvantage trying to provide that guest experience. And it's not just hard for that reason. And I know you all know this, but I want to let this sort of like sink in a little bit, because vacation rental management, I believe, is one of the hardest businesses that you could actually be involved with. It requires expertise in multiple disciplines. You need to be very good at marketing. You need to be a marketing company to attract guests competing with national brands that are also trying to attract guests, whether they're hotels or they're OTAs, or they're your competitors in market. You need to be a hospitality company to ensure that when those guests arrive, they have a great experience. And that's not easy to do, especially if your properties are are different and disparate. You need to be a home services company. And I believe sometimes this gets lost on property managers, not in the day-to-day, but just in the grander vision. You need to be providing property maintenance. Those homeowners, your homeowner clients, are relying on you to be taking care of their property, asset protection, and coordinating all of the services that are necessary to take care of that home. And you need to be a concierge service, providing exceptional guest experiences in addition to hospitality. Your front desk type operations, in addition to the guests checking in and checking out, are every bit as complicated as the concierge at a hotel for guest services, umbrellas, tours, attractions, etc. And this is a business where competition is incredibly fierce. This is a picture of European underwater rugby, which I would never try myself and seems absolutely ludicrous. But it indicates what I think is a fair representation of the kind of competition that happens in the vacation rental industry. The travel category in general is an incredibly competitive industry, and dominated by large hotel chains, Hilton, Wyndham, Accord, Choice, etc. And then on top of that, you have OTAs, Priceline, Booking, Expedia, TripAdvisor, all in the mix. Now you're layering in on the vacation rental side some very large players, well-funded, that have come into the market, Vacasa, Turnkey, Evolve, and you're also competing on the home services front with extremely well-funded startups, Porch, Thumbtack, Home Advisor, Angie's List, who help homeowners coordinate their services. So in effect, you're competing across the board with a very wide range of companies, and that's hard. In addition, what's happening in the market, and now we're getting more to the meat of the issue, is that there's more and more squeeze happening in the vacation rental market. There's a tougher fight for guests. There's more and more people coming into the industry. I've gotten in an Uber, and the driver has told me in the course of conversation, he's saving up because he's starting to represent one Airbnb listing as a property manager, and his goal is to get up to 10 this year and then 20 the next, and turn himself into a rental property manager. The number of people that are entering this industry is phenomenal. It's unbelievable. So not only is there more competition from the property manager side, but in many respects, it's never been easier for a homeowner to market their home on their own. So the fight for guests and the amount of time and energy that's had to be applied in the marketing side of the business is extraordinary, and it's forced property managers to really focus on that part of the business just to compete. And at the same time, there's eroding brand awareness. The folks from Wyndham and other companies will tell you that maintaining brand awareness is something that they are always facing as a challenge. It's front and center. You've spent this money on marketing to attract a new guest. You want to make sure that they remember that they're staying with you. They may have found your rental through Flipkey or through Booking.com or through Expedia, but now you want to make sure that they associate their vacation with you so that you get a shot at bringing them back again. So trying to maintain that brand awareness is very challenging with the new sort of market dynamics that are going on. I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but there's the rise of mega managers and consolidation in the industry. They're building up an advantage, a deeper catalog of guests, strong internal marketing departments, really turning themselves into marketing machines so that they can compete more heavily for travelers. And there's increased supply. There's lots and lots of property management companies, and then there's more homeowners coming onto platforms. There's more occasional. When you reduce the barrier to listing your property, and you reduce the annual fees and you're just paying a booking commission on a platform, you're encouraging more occasional renters. Maybe I'm only renting 3 or 4 weeks out of the year. Maybe I'm using the property more, and it's just more and more supply to compete with. And fees are not going up. Rental commissions are not going up anywhere that I'm aware of. There's plenty of markets where they're staying steady, and there's a lot more demand, which is nice. But the fees that you can charge and pass on to your homeowners are becoming more compressed. And we already spoke about this, that owners have a lot of optionality as to what they can do. Their choices of how they want to manage their property, whether they want to self-manage and self-market their property on one of the listing sites, or if they want to use a hybrid property management company like Gall or a local company. They have lots of options of where they can, how they can manage their vacation rental home. So as that is the backdrop, why would property care be the next big thing? And that's what we're gonna talk about next. Property care is so important because your brand is gold and it needs to be protected. In a market where there's increased competition and you are trying to separate yourself based on the experience you provide guests, the quality of your properties, the care that you demonstrate to your homeowners, you're trying to meet guest expectations and fulfill your promises from an owner relations perspective. Everything is riding on the brand experience that you can bring to travelers and that you can deliver to homeowners. The only way to do that is to really concentrate on property care. That's the thing that you can control the most as a vacation rental manager. You can control the cleanliness and the appearance and the brand standards of your linens and the way your beds are made and the way your properties are presented to really set yourself apart. And then you can demonstrate that level of care back to your homeowners so that you can continue to build up that brand for your company. And if you don't do that, all of the market trends that we just talked about are stacking up against you. So one of the reasons we think about why property care holds such an important place in the future of vacation rentals is that that's the key to maintaining your brand. And maintaining your brand is getting harder and harder. And that's because this is not a picture of one of my children, though I would say it is representative, at least some of the time. And anyone who has kids would empathize as well. But the point is that consumer demand is going up. People come and stay in your properties. Folks like to say they're taking a vacation just so they can get away and work. And their tolerance for issues and lack of perfection is very, very low. And this is just a very telling stat. There's something called the Amazon effect, which is basically the consumer expectations are continuing to rise because of companies like Amazon who are seemingly doing the impossible, delivering anything to you next day or second day, and that's cascading down into other companies and other interactions that consumers have with brands, and they're expecting that brands will keep up and that they can deliver these impossible expectations in the same way that a company like Amazon can. And that's manifesting itself across consumer expectations with this stat, which is that 76% of consumers expect a brand to be able to deliver a personalized experience just for them. I mean, let that sink in. It's ludicrous, first of all. But it goes to show, and I think it captures what's happening with the increased consumer expectations that people are facing and that property managers are facing as well. Guests come in and they expect that the Wi-Fi is going to work. if the Wi-Fi doesn't work in your property, or if there's a hair in the bathtub, you are running a significant risk of ruining their entire week's vacation. And it's not fair, but that's the world that we're beginning to live in. And so how do you do that? How do you ensure that you can meet those very high consumer expectations? You have to make sure that you're prioritizing your property care, because if you're not, your guests are having a bad experience, you're behind the 8 ball, you're trying to catch up to that guest throughout the rest of the week, ensure that they have a good experience. You're trying to win back that 1-star review or that 2-star review so that you're sure you're protecting your brand. And it's very, very difficult. You need to get ahead of that as much as possible every day. And you have more issues with your properties. Properties are getting older. On average, the average home in the United States is 35 years old and getting older. Frequency of rentals is going up. You will now hear that in a place like Gatlinburg, the number of rentals per year is, they're looking at occupancies of 300 nights per year and at shorter stays. Now, I know that's not indicative in every market, these shorter stays, but in general, stays are getting much shorter. And people are putting more and more into their homes. There's more devices. There's not just Wi-Fi, there's more routers, there's more televisions, there's more to go wrong in every turn in the property. And you have hands-on homeowners. You have homeowners that dabbled renting on their own. They're wondering why they're not. They're much more involved. They're type A. They want to understand exactly what's going on. They're craving information and then putting strains on the business operationally to get more information out because they're these quote-unquote hands-on homeowners. And all of this leads to more wear and tear, increased maintenance projects, and increased maintenance costs, and yet less time to do it because the frequency and the number of your back-to-backs and the length of your season is going up. Folks in Colorado will tell you that there is no, in Vail, the summers used to be nice and relaxed. It is not that way anymore. In many, many markets, people are talking to us and saying, I'm trying to figure out now when my down season is because it's not looking like I have one anymore. Certainly I have shoulder seasons, but my seasons are being stretched. And the other opportunity, which I think often gets overlooked, is that homeowners need help. They need more help with their property. And there's an incredible opportunity. Why focus on property care? Why is that such a big opportunity for rental managers? Because folks like Tom Hanks in the money pit need help taking care of their property. They're not qualified to take care of the property on their own. And they're actively seeking services to be able to outsource as much of their property care as possible. This doesn't just go for your existing vacation rental inventory, but this goes for the rest of the high-end second homes that are in your market that so many property managers have been reluctant to offer maintenance-only services to because they haven't been able to wrap their heads around the strength of their property care program to know that they can turn it into a moneymaker and then attract these other homeowners that are on the sidelines, use that as a feeder program to bring people in, and then turn them into first occasional renters and then people who rent more often. So there's a huge opportunity here. And I think this is a big piece of the future of vacation rental management, is bringing on these new homeowners that are sitting on the sidelines in your market, and they're ripe for the taking. So how do you capitalize on all these changes? if you believe that the market is being squeezed and that you need to be able to think about how you're going to differentiate your business, and the guest experience is so terribly important, and all of this leads back to a greater emphasis on property care and how you're going to meet the operational challenges, which are very complex in the vacation rental industry. How do you capitalize on these changes? And so we're going to talk a little bit about this right now. In a nutshell, the approach that I suggest is you need to make property care your superpower instead of a liability. And what do I mean by that? I mean that property care right now for most managers is a liability. It's a liability whether or not your properties will be clean and ready for the next guest on a crazy Saturday turn day when you've got 100 properties that need to be flipped over in 5 hours and you're nervous about whether or not that's going to happen. That's a liability as to whether or not the next guests coming in are going to have a great experience. Property care is a liability if you're rolling the dice and wondering whether or not your homeowners are fully aware of how well you're maintaining their property and what you're doing for them to make sure their assets protected, and you're dedicated to caring for this piece of property. When they don't know, and most managers tell me they don't lose homeowners, excuse me, because rental income fluctuated a little year over year. They lose homeowners because the homeowner shows up at their house and the lawn doesn't look like it's been mowed recently, or they walk in and something's out of place that they've told you is really important to them and they can't find it, and now they're calling you and they can't understand why you can't remember out of all the hundreds of homes that you manage that this is the most important thing in the world. Meanwhile, it's totally understandable why that happens. But that's why you end up losing a homeowner, because they don't appreciate the work that goes into taking care of their house and hundreds of others and thousands of guests that are coming through the door during your season. They are missing an appreciation of how difficult that is and the work that you actually do. So when that's the case, that becomes a liability to your business, that you'll lose those homeowners. All of this can be flipped around if you start to think about how property care is your superpower instead of a liability. What do I mean by a superpower? I'll tell you. I think about the world often. Hold on, I'm going to have some water here. In terms of technical opportunities. That's just my background as an internet entrepreneur. Your superpower is the fact that you are in market, you have incredible local knowledge, you have long-term relationships with local vendors who can actually perform services. You have staff or very deep connections with independent contractors who can provide the remaining cleaning and maintenance tasks that need to be done in quick order to actually provide property care. That is a superpower because that can't be replaced in California or anywhere else. That can't be replaced remotely by a technology company. It needs to be done at the local level. And when you start to think about that as your superpower for delivering a great guest experience, for delivering excellent property care to a homeowner, I believe that starts to change the perspective of the business and provide a lot more emphasis and importance to back office operations, because that's the sustainable part of the business. Back to the very beginning, that's the part of the business that's not going to change in 10 years and that has to be done. And the people that can protect and deliver on that part of the business use that superpower to grow. How else can you take advantage of these changes that are happening? you can use a system to minimize points of failure. And you can stop running around like a crazy chicken, which is what most people have to do day to day because that's the nature of their business. But if you're using a system and you're using smart task management, or you're setting up very deep work processes, you're really taking a step back, thinking about your care operations and how you're going to meet brand standards. Heaven forbid you get to a point where you're actually starting to provide proactive care, you're ahead of the curve, you can then start getting credit for that, increasing the fees that you charge for this, and demonstrating dedication, which is going to improve your homeowner retention rates and allow you to charge more for providing the same service. I'll give you some tangible user stories that go along with this. There are so many times that we have clients or property managers that I've spoken with that go through a property, they're doing a routine inspection, they notice that something is broken, something is wrong, they fix it just in the routine course of what they're doing, and they have no way of capturing that information, demonstrating that to the homeowner and letting the homeowner know that that's happened. So all that extra work that they're doing, they're just doing it because they want to make sure the property is great and is ready for the next guest. But the homeowners have no appreciation of that work that happens. And if you're using a better system to help track that and capture all of that information, you can get more credit for the same work that you're doing. If you change the way that you deliver the same service and you emphasize it just a little more, you can do the same work but get more credit and then charge more money for it and use this part of your maintenance business as a profit center. And you can leverage digital and comprehensive and actionable data. Well, what do I mean by this? You're working with individual properties that have lots of elements to them that make up the property, whether it's bedrooms and bathrooms, hot water heaters, HVAC systems. There's a lot of inventory and individual data that goes into each property. If you're using a better system to keep track of that information, smart, detailed inventory, better historical records, your whole team can leverage and act on that information so that they can drive more and more operational efficiency. What does this mean? This means not just keeping track of the fact that, not just keeping a file or a folder of all of the serial numbers for the appliances in a property, but keeping it cataloged in a way where you know that this appliance is a hot water heater versus a dishwasher versus the coffee pot versus the HVAC system, and that now you know how many HVAC systems you have across all of your properties, you know how many filters they have, you know when the last time they were changed, and you know when you're going to need to change them again. And you're using that to just drive deeper and deeper data and intelligence to improve your business. Because, again, going back to how we started this conversation, if consumer expectations are going higher and higher, and you're going to have to perform that work, and the amount of work you're going to have to perform is increasing, and by the way, the baseline from where it's increasing is already difficult because of the operational challenges of a rental manager. If you don't start to do this, it's not going to be possible to keep up with the changes. It's not going to be possible to deliver a great experience to the guests because you won't be able to maintain those brand quality standards. And the other way you can take advantage of some of these changes is to think about ways to keep your team in sync. I would suggest to you that the way that most people have been doing this, where a lot of it is offline, team meetings, reactionary scheduling that fluctuates, day to day and week to week, where departments are not talking to each other, that is not going to be sustainable, and that we have to get better about how we do that so that the teams can work in sync, they can communicate about tasks more effectively, even in between departments, so the maintenance department can be talking in a much better way to the housekeeping department, to the reservation team, so that someone's calling for an early check-in and everybody knows exactly what's going on with the property and what needs to be done to make sure that person can go in. That's the sort of operational flow that folks are going to have to continue to prioritize to take advantage of these changes in the market. And so now I want to talk to you quickly about what we do and just give you a little preview about what we do. And we've covered a lot of high-level topics here. And so afterwards, I just want to open it up to questions, and I'm happy to dig in further on some of the concepts that I've highlighted here. But I'm going to spend 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Breezeway is, and then open it up to questions. So I came back to the vacation rental industry because I saw these market trends, I saw this dynamic, and I saw that what is really a powerful opportunity for property managers is to double down on the way that they care for property, to differentiate their brand and grow their business. And that doing that part of it's understandable, and this is why we partner with companies like VRM, because it's very complicated. To do it well requires a complicated piece of software, and as I could see, there weren't a lot of people doing that in the market in ways that could really supercharge the way property managers could do it. So we created some intelligent software that makes it very easy for you to care for property throughout the whole back office operation, from scheduling to cleanings to inspections to maintenance, and then reporting back to the homeowner how well you're taking care of the property. That whole chain is linked and works together because that's where the business needs to be. So we help people increase the quality and effectiveness of their property care, and we do that by linking, as I said, all of those pieces together. We provide a platform for not just cleaning crews to provide the status of what they're doing and completing jobs, but to communicate effortlessly with inspection teams who are coming in after them and making sure that the property is ready to go. By doing that, we can create very, very smart inspection checklists that build your property inventory little by little. We still have some clients that go through and they create their property inventory first, and it is a very laborious process to try and capture all of the information that is in one of these beach properties, a 5-bedroom beach house somewhere in the coast of North Carolina. You could spend hours trying to capture all of that property inventory. What we've done is we've created very smart inspection checklists. You can create your template, and then as you go through and add information about each element of the home, we add that information to a living and continually growing property inventory and structure that information for you so that it's easy to pull out insights afterwards. And it becomes very easy downstream to track projects and tie them back, not just to a specific property address, but to a specific bathroom. So you can avoid the situation where the owner is saying, hey, haven't you replaced the flapper in that toilet in my house 3 times already? Shouldn't we think about just replacing the whole toilet? And you don't get caught sideways wondering why your maintenance team wasn't thinking the same thing because they have so much to track and they didn't realize that this was the same bathroom over and over again. And then the goal is that once we're able to do that, we can then inform preventative and proactive maintenance so that you can put better suggestions in front of your homeowners. It's not a reactive process to get them to think about how well they're caring for their home, and you're demonstrating a very, very high level of care and expertise about their property. They realize that because of the reports that you can deliver to homeowners, they realize that you're on top of their asset protection and that you're really caring for their property. So the system works twofold by, number one, helping make sure the properties are ready to go and well maintained for guests, nothing falls through the cracks, and that your staff is happy and getting their job done in a more effective way, but that you're also communicating that back with homeowners so that you can demonstrate value and highlight all the work that you're doing. I could talk to you for quite some time about the power of this software and the way people are using it, and a lot of the functionality and features that we've built, but that's not the purpose of this conversation. I just want you to, I wanted to highlight and help you understand like why we're doing this, and it's based on everything that we've seen in the market and the way that, you know, forward-thinking managers are starting to think about their business. And thank you. We started the company 2 years ago, and for folks that are interested in working with us, we're integrated with VRM, and we have a close integration with them and are continuing to grow that into a two-way integration to push information back and forth. But it works very seamlessly so that we can pull in your reservation calendar and help you schedule and assign and complete and track all sorts of back office operations from within Breezeway, working, you know, hand in glove with the VRM system. Now, Brittany, I might turn it back over to you, and I'm happy to, it's great, there's been a lot of participants here for this conversation, and I'm happy to open it up to questions and talk about the market in general, what we're seeing, you know, why we're doing this, or, you know, property care specifically, some use cases that, you know, fun things and advanced things that I've been seeing property management companies do, or just general questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you guys have questions, just go down into the little Q&A section on your Zoom webinar window and type those in, and those will go directly to me, and I can ask those to Jeremy for you guys. And I just want to say thank you so much, Jeremy, for putting together this amazing presentation. It was really informative. And I think for me, when I was watching it and just thinking about the changes that are coming and already have been coming with the OTAs, you know, kind of invading the industry, and how to make sure that you brand yourself so that you're actually taking control of your own brand and your own company's destiny, so to speak, for lack of a better term. And so it was really good to hear about how property operations can really change the future of a company if you really take the time to pull that together and really organize yourself really well. As with anything, when you plan, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you want to make sure that you definitely have a plan in place that's strong, that's going to help you to make sure that you're in the future, that you're doing really well. So it doesn't look like we've gotten any questions from anybody today. So if you do have questions, though, after this webinar, or you're watching the replay and you have questions, you can feel free to send those to me directly, and I'll forward them on to Jeremy, and that's Brittany@virtualresortmanager.com. You can send those directly to me, and I'll be happy to get those to Jeremy with your contact information so he can get back to you with those questions. The other great thing, and you can send them to vip@breezeway.io as well, and they'll be happy to answer any questions for you there, I'm sure, as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming and tuning in today. I will be sending out an email about the announcement about our next few topics with Tea with Brittany Lee. We are still kind of debating the schedule a little bit, so you will have information really shortly about what our next few topics are. So make sure that you guys sign up. We're making sure that we do stuff that really, you know, helps you guys make sure that you're actually getting what you need from Tea with Brittany Lee. So if there is anything that you have an idea that you'd like me to talk about on Tea with Brittany Lee, or you'd like me to get a guest on, I would be more than happy to get that information. So feel free to send that on over. I'd be happy to have that. And I just want to say thank you again to Jeremy for coming on today. It was amazing to have you. And thank you so much for being patient with the schedule and being willing to come on today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Brittany. Happy to be here, and thanks everybody for joining us. I hope it was informative.
It was extremely. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I'll see you next month on Tea with Brittany Lee. Bye.